welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are really cutting through the noise in, well, one of the most competitive fields out there, modern real estate. We've got a fascinating stack of sources in front of us. I mean, everything from these hyper-structured 4-week conversion frameworks to some really deep-cut professional compliance guides and even fundamental mindset coaching. So our mission for you today is pretty simple. We want to synthesize this layered view and pull out the actionable nuggets that show you exactly what it takes for an agent to truly thrive today. We're going beyond the generic advice to look at the tactical, measurable systems that are driving, frankly, billions in sales.
And that synthesis is so essential because the whole foundation of the industry has changed. The core challenge really is that today's buyers are they're fundamentally different.
Different how?
Well, they're digital natives, right? They're swiping through listings on Zillow, they're comparing agents online with reviews, and they're often making these huge decisions about who they trust, or maybe who they won't even answer the phone for, before an agent even gets a real chance to engage.
So the old methods are just failing.
They're failing, absolutely. The traditional sort of outdated approaches, cold calls, pure networking, they just don't work because the consumer journey has completely inverted.
Okay, so let's unpack this structured solution that's designed to meet this modern buyer where they are.
Yeah.
We're looking at a proven 4-week system, one that has really helped thousands of agents and teams hit some pretty impressive milestones. We're talking over $13 billion in sales generated using this exact blueprint. So this is all about turning those, fleeting online leads into lasting, profitable relationships.
Right. And the sources, they attack the problem head on in week 1, which is all about the modern consumer journey.
Okay.
The goal here is a kind of radical alignment with buyer psychology. And the biggest shift is positioning yourself not as a traditional salesperson who just unlocks doors, but as a trusted advisor, a data interpreter.
I like that, a data interpreter.
Exactly. Agents have to move past this myth of just being the person with local expertise. They have to show the value that buyers today actually want, which is objective guidance and, real market analysis. If you're just pitching properties, you're interchangeable.
That distinction, trusted advisor versus pitcher, that feels critical. And I guess it sets the stage for week 2, which is people over properties.
It does. This is where the mindset shifts completely away from the transaction and toward building a genuine human relationship. The source material is so clear on this. Buyers don't choose a home first. They choose the person they trust to guide them
through what is, for most people, the biggest financial decision of their lives.
Precisely. And this week is highly practical. It details the structure for that all-important first conversation using what they call the CALM framework.
CALM. Okay, break that down for us.
So, CALM stands for Connect, to establish that immediate rapport. Ask, using insightful questions to find their real motivation. Listen, so you're actively absorbing their needs. And finally, Map, where you clearly outline the next few strategic steps you'll take together.
It's like a purposeful choreography.
It is. It's designed to make the buyer feel heard and understood, not, sold to.
I love that acronym because it sounds simple, but I bet executing CALM requires some real discipline. And it leads us right into the sort of high-stakes pressure of week 3, hustle harder the critical 30 minutes.
It does, and the sources are. They are adamant that the first 30 minutes after that initial call is the most valuable and most overlooked time in the entire cycle.
The first 30 minutes?
Yes. This is that critical window where the buyer is still weighing their options, deciding who they're actually going to work with. And apparently, most agents they drop the ball right here. They send a generic follow-up email hours later or something.
And that's a huge mistake, I'm guessing.
It is, because the data shows that most buyers talk to up to 5 other agents.
5?
5. So that follow-up has to be instant, high value, and personal. And to address this, the sources introduce something called the half-hour hustle and the WOW framework.
Okay, tell us what WOW means in practical terms, because just saying wowing buyers with value, that's not super helpful.
Right.
What does an actionable WOW actually look like in those 30 minutes?
That's a great question. WOW is all about creating instant momentum and differentiation. So an example of the WOW framework in action. It isn't just sending a list of 3 homes.
Right.
It's creating a hyper-personalized custom market analysis. And you deliver it via a quick recorded video message that you send within, say, 15 minutes of hanging up the phone.
That's interesting.
In the video, you summarize their key pain points, you reinforce that you listen to their specific motivation, maybe they need to move fast for a new job, and then you instantly provide a valuable data point that no one else will, like a specific neighborhood trend report. It makes the agent instantly indispensable, memorable.
So you become the one they commit to.
That's the goal.
That's a fantastic distinction. But I have to ask, pursuing that half-hour hustle 5 times a day sounds exhausting.
Yeah.
Is that sustainable, or is that just a recipe for quick burnout?
And that's where week 4 comes in. It focuses on the fortune in the funnel and, sustainable success. You can't live call to call.
Right.
This week is all about moving beyond that frantic chase for new leads and focusing on the long-term pipeline, your database. And the key concept here is leveraging the effort to opportunity ratio.
Explain that ratio for us.
Simply put, it's about strategically prioritizing your outreach. So instead of just mass emailing everyone, you categorize your database based on how little effort it takes to convert them, balanced against the opportunity size.
Okay, give me an example.
A hot lead who just needs a quick, personalized text, that's low effort for high opportunity. A cold lead who hasn't responded in a year is high effort for probably low opportunity. By focusing your daily nurturing on those high opportunity, low effort segments, you ensure consistent, easier sales. And that reduces the pressure of constantly filling the top of the funnel.
So we have the CLM script for the call, the WOW framework for the immediate follow-up, and this effort to opportunity ratio for long-term management. I mean, it sounds like a perfect machine.
It does.
Find the lead, execute the framework, hustle hard, and nurture the funnel. But I mean, execution requires more than just knowing the steps, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And this brings us right to the bridge between that tactical training and the actual results. If we connect this intense training to the bigger picture, we find the real difference maker isn't the framework itself, it's the mindset and the resilience to apply it consistently. You can have 2 agents with the same framework, same leads, same market, and one will thrive while the other just burns out by week 3. The difference, according to the sources from the Modern Agent Academy, is that right mindset foundation.
And the sources use a fantastic analogy for this. They say to adopt qualities like a kid in your business.
Precisely. We're talking about adopting the fearlessness and resilience of a child. I mean, think about a kid learning to ride a bike. They fall, they scrape their knee, cry for a minute, and then what?
They get right back up.
They get right back up. Agents are coached not to sweat the rejection, not to wallow in the no, but to embrace it as just a necessary step. This mental resilience means that when you execute the half-hour hustle and get silence, you just pivot and apply your effort to the next high-value prospect instead of stalling out.
And that mental game has to be paired with a polished professional performance. The sources use a great example of a seemingly small detail, your voicemail message.
It's not wasted space. It's a high-stakes 30-second stage. Every time you record that message, you are performing for a potential client who is deciding in seconds if you sound like a pro, a true advisor, or an amateur who's rambling.
You're building credibility or you're chipping away at it.
Exactly. The goal is to project calm, conviction, and competence immediately.
And that focus on a strong, polished, personal brand, it translates directly into results, right? The sources connect this back to tangible success. They say agents who consistently build that brand close, 3 times more deals?
3 times more deals than those who rely on just generic, unstructured approaches. And this loops back beautifully to the tactical goals. Remember that critical window. 80% of buyers choose the first agent they meet in person.
Right.
The CALM call and the WOW follow-up are designed specifically to use speed and value to position you to be that first person. If your voicemail is weak, you might not even get that chance.
So we have the hustle and the mindset. But success isn't just about selling, it's about staying in business. True longevity requires this deep foundational expertise that goes way beyond the sale itself.
It does.
And this is where our sources really broaden the scope, introducing this dense foundational training for a complete, resilient career.
This is the shift from being a talented salesperson to being a truly complete business person and a risk manager. And this involves serious compliance and financial literacy, which is often just glossed over in sales training.
Let's focus on that compliance side for a second. What are some of the specific regulatory mandates that agents really have to master?
Okay, so the curriculum highlights the intense need for training on things like TRIDE compliance.
Her ID.
Yeah, it stands for TILA RESPA Integrated Disclosure, but agents usually just call it Know Before You Owe. It's critical because it deals with the standardized mortgage disclosure forms, the loan estimate, and the closing disclosure. A failure here is a huge legal and ethical liability. It can impact the closing and expose the agent to penalties.
So it's about protecting the client and protecting yourself. We also see training on Regulation Z, which is part of the Truth in Lending Act, or TILA.
Correct. And TILA is all about ensuring clear, truthful advertising of loan terms. For an agent, this means understanding the rules when you're advertising financing. If your marketing mentions a specific interest rate, Reg Z dictates what other mandatory disclosures you must include so the borrower isn't misled.
So you have to know the rules of the road.
Or your marketing could create massive exposure.
It also goes deep into financial literacy, which I guess is what truly separates the advisor from the average agent. They don't just teach the mechanics of a loan, they teach the agent to think like an underwriter.
Exactly. We're talking about courses like Loan Processing 101, which looks at the whole mortgage process from the perspective of both the processor and the underwriter. The agent can't just rely on the loan officer, they have to be able to spot red flags themselves.
And there's even a dedicated tax return analysis workshop. Why on earth would an agent need to analyze a client's tax returns? That sounds like an accountant's job.
It's crucial for pre-qualification validity. I mean, think about clients who are self-employed or have complex incomes. If an agent can't read a Schedule C or understand how write-offs impact their debt-to-income ratio, they're basing their entire search on a potentially invalid prequal. This gives them the tools to advise on the financial reality of what the client can actually afford.
It reduces the risk of a deal just falling apart at the last minute?
A huge risk.
Okay, so beyond compliance and finance, there's business structure and operations. The sources emphasize comprehensive business planning that goes beyond, a simple one-page document.
This is where longevity is built. It's about creating a strategic daily, weekly, and monthly action plan. Tying that abstract goal of, say, 5 million in sales back to specific tasks like make X calls using the CLM script. It connects the vision to the daily activity.
And even practical skills matter. They recommend diving into Microsoft Excel basics and business writing for results.
Of course. Every minute you save on admin work is a minute you can spend on the half-hour hustle. Making Excel a productivity tool, managing your funnel efficiently, and professional writing. As we said, every point of contact is a stage. It either builds you up or tears you down.
So let's tie these three pillars together. We've gone from the tactical speed of the WOW framework all the way to a deep dive into TRID compliance. What's the final takeaway?
I think we can summarize the sources into three clear, inseparable pillars of success for the modern agent. First is the structured tactics. Using that 4-week system, the frameworks like CALM and WOW for efficient lead conversion.
Okay, pillar one.
Second is the mindset and branding. That personal conviction, the resilience to not sweat rejection, and that polished professional performance that secures trust. And third, the foundational knowledge, mastering compliance like TRID and Red C and business operations for a resilient long-term career that mitigates risk.
And the training sources, they show different levels of engagement, right? So agents can kind of choose their path. You can start with a self-guided tier at, I think, $199, move up to a guided level with live coaching at $399, or even opt for personalized mentorship at $4,499 a month for really intense support.
And while the provider stresses, and this is a crucial disclaimer, that results aren't guaranteed and they rely entirely on individual effort, they do cite some clear metrics. Agents committed to these strategies typically see a 50% increase in lead conversions and about a 20% boost in sales performance within 3 to 6 months.
Those numbers really show the power of having a process over just, randomness. So if the core message here is the importance of speed, that critical 30-minute window and consistent effort, we have to leave you with one final thought.
Right. The sources, they humorously but very pointedly mention that they take no responsibility for the leads that slip through the cracks while you, procrastinate on setting up your long-term systems like your CRM.
Right. So if success really hinges on immediate execution and setting up those systems for personalized follow-up and nurturing your database, we have to ask, how much money are you leaving on the table simply by delaying the steps required to leverage that fortune in the funnel?
And that's your actionable takeaway. You need to evaluate where you need the most support right now. Is it mastering the tactical frameworks, achieving that resilient mindset shift, or shoring up that deep foundational compliance knowledge? That's the starting point.
That's a powerful question to end on. Thanks for diving deep with us.